Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, thank you for that. Welcome back to those who are here this morning, and welcome to those who have arrived for our awards ceremony, particularly, of course, to the award winners themselves. I'm Colin Brown, Chairman of the VLV, and we're delighted to see so many of you here for the 2018 awards. I'm also particularly delighted to welcome, to present the awards, there was a broadcaster who delighted us last year when she received the award on behalf of Dead Ringers. Her own voice may not be totally familiar to all of you, but her many other voices will be extremely familiar. So a very warm welcome to Jan Ravens, who will be supported by Lewis Rudd. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's a welcome respite, isn't it, from all the politics and the mess that's going on at the moment. And I'm sure there's somebody else who wishes that she could be here.
Hello, it's me, your Prime Minister. Still. On I go, inching slowly forward, like a slug crawling over the edge of a glass of beer. On I go, relentlessly moving forward. I can't go back. I know oblivion beckons, but I keep inching forward. I can smell the beer, the sweet beer I can drown in. I would just like to thank everybody who voted Conservative in the local election. So thank you, yes, to Andrew, Gillian, Francis, Caroline, and not forgetting you, Jonathan. And particular thanks to Derek for drawing a massive cock and balls on your ballot paper, and they counted it as a Conservative vote, winning. And yes, particularly nice of you all to be here when, you could have been listening to one of my favourite Radio 4 programmes, You and Yours. Hello, I'm miserable Winifred Robinson. Welcome to You and Yours. On today's programme, is the TV licence carcinogenic? How to get bloodstains out of a will. And what to do with all your free time when the PPI calls finally dry up. I'm not going to go into a routine right here and now. Oh, but I just want to ask you if any of you had seen. I mean, I've taken the mickey out of Diane Abbott in the past because of her numerical skills, and I did see her on the telly the other day, and somebody said to her, "So Diane, what about the Labour losses? In the recent council elections?" And she said, "Well, there were, I think, 50 net losses." And the interviewer said to her, "Well, actually, I think there were 125, actually, was the figure." And she said, "When I last looked, the figure was 100. So, you can't make it up. They make it up for you at the moment. So, the VLV Awards for Excellence in Broadcasting may lack red carpets and rows over eligibility, but they do have their own special significance. The awards are chosen by members who, while not professionally employed in the media, have shown by their membership of the VLV their commitment to quality in broadcasting. The programme awards are based on the nominations from this membership, and their enthusiasm and breadth of interest is demonstrated by the sheer number of different programmes suggested this year, 163 in the television categories and 146 in radio, and there were 122 nominations for individual contributors. This is VLV's 27th awards year. In a rapidly changing media landscape, what matters, as ever, is quality and content, and that's what the VLV Awards are all about. So you can all give yourselves a pat on the back before we even start.
Thank you very much, Jan. We start with the Television Awards, and the first one is for Best TV Drama Programme. Nominations were A Very English Scandal, BBC One, Black Earth Rising, BBC Two, Bodyguard, BBC One, Killing Eve, BBC One, No Offence, Channel 4, Vanity Fair, ITV.
Ooh, lots of woos. Well, I'm delighted to say
that the winner, set in an innocent era when politicians did nothing worse than conspiracies to murder, and which has been described as a drama brutally funny, endlessly clever, and justifiably confident as its protagonist, is the three-part miniseries about Jeremy Thorpe, A Very English Scandal. And here to collect the award, Simon Simone Curry from Blueprint Pictures.
We would just like to thank, on behalf of Blueprint Pictures, everyone at the VLV for this lovely award. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Best TV News and Factual Programme. Nominations were A House Through Time, BBC Two, Beyond 100 Days, BBC News Channel and BBC Four, Newsnight, BBC Two, Peston on Sunday, ITV, Portillo's Hidden History of Britain, Channel 5, They Shall Not Grow Old, BBC Two.
And the winner is a programme whose investigative methods have been compared with Who Do You Think You Are? But no celebrities are involved and no multiple costume changes for the presenter are needed. Just a previously unknown building. The second series is currently on air. It is A House Through Time. And here to collect the award are 2020 Creative Director Emma Willis and Executive Producer Maxine Watson and the production team.
Thank you so much. Honestly, we're so delighted to get this award because actually all we really care about, I've always cared about, is the audience. And I think this is a show, God knows, it was really hard to get commissioned. It was turned down the first time. Nobody wants to watch ordinary people. I'm not quoting anyone. Anyway, we went back again. I mean, the thing is that, you know, this is an award voted for by the people, and this is history for and by the people. And I think that's why we're so proud of it. And I just want to thank this amazing team of people who've worked so hard. The work that goes into to finding these stories is honestly off the Richter scale. So we're just really proud of it. Thank you so much.
The next award is for Best TV Arts and Entertainment Programme. Nominations were Have I Got News for You, BBC One, Only Connect, BBC Two, Random Acts, Channel 4, Raymond Briggs' Snowmen, Bogeymen and Milkmen, BBC Two, Upstart Crow, BBC Two, Would I Lie to You, BBC One.
And the winner is the daddy of all topical TV quiz shows, currently in its 57th series and its 30th year. Again, currently on air and in fact in the studio today, Have I Got News for You? And here to play truant briefly to accept the award is is the programme's only ever-present participant and can still walk. Here he is, Ian Hislop.
Thank you very much. That is a first. The You Can Still Walk award.
But you know, after all that time, you know, sat next to Paul Merton, not laughing at your jokes.
Well, yes, I'd obviously like to accept this on behalf of myself and Paul. Sadly, he's not here. You are extremely kind, and it is incredibly flattering after all this time to be given this award. When we did the first programme, 1990, you're not going to believe it, female Prime Minister, problems about Europe, Tory party imploding. We thought we wouldn't last, but they didn't. It is, this award again, it is sort of chosen by people who go on watching, and they go on watching because they believe that it's important for broadcasters to produce quality programmes. I've always said when people say, why does your programme go on so long? I say, you should see the competition. So I'm afraid that may be overly cynical. You look at the other winners here and they are pretty stunning.
Really impressive. Anyway, and almost best of all, to be given the award by Jan, who is a major star, and anyone who follows Dead Ringers knows that there's still quality on radio, too. Bloody good jokes, and I'm going to steal all of them. Thank you very much indeed.
Right, the next award is for Best TV Individual Contributor. Nominations were Matt Fry, Catty Kay, Emily Maitlis, Andrew Neil, David Olusoga, and John Sopel.
And the winner is a journalist who has represented the BBC in Rome, Hong Kong and Washington. He now combines presenting Channel 4 News with expert assignments for them in Europe and America. Proof that, contrary to Theresa May's opinion, a citizen of the world is a citizen of everywhere, he is Matt Fry. And, proof of his ubiquity is that he's currently in Italy, and Megan Thomas from Channel 4 has kindly agreed to accept the award on his behalf.
Clearly not Matt, but he clearly had to go and do some reporting in Italy. So thank you for this, Channel 4.
And the final television award voted for by members is the VLV Award for International Content, sponsored by the International Broadcasting Trust. Nominations were A Dangerous Dynasty, House of Assad, BBC 2, Dispatches, Myanmar's Killing Fields, Channel 4, Drowning in Plastic, BBC 1, Mediterranean with Simon Reeve, BBC 2, Michael Palin in North Korea, Channel 5, Stacey Dooley Investigates, Fashion's Dirty Secrets, BBC 3.
The International Broadcasting Trust exists to encourage coverage of the wider world on UK media platforms. Members chose a programme very topical to current environmental concerns, in which the scientist Liz Bonin visited 3 continents to report on the horrendous ravages caused by discarded plastics, and also on some of the solutions which are being developed. The 90-minute special was Drowning in Plastic. The award will be presented by Mark Galloway, Director of IBT, and here to receive it from Raw TV are Director Tom Watt-Smith and Executive Producer Dominique Walker. Would you like to say something?
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. When we started making this programme, we were worried that everyone knew already everything about plastic pollution, and our challenge was how to make an impact. And I think it feels fitting that we've won this award, because I think the thing that we feel most proud about was the impact that the programme had, especially on young people who we did a whole element of the programme that was on social media that we drip-fed during the production process, and I think that was a really powerful way to talk to a different audience. So thank you very much, and we're very proud and grateful.
The last of the television awards is for Best TV Children's Programme, being chosen by the VLV trustees.
Continuing the international theme, the trustees have chosen a programme from the CBBC series My Life, in which children narrate stories of their day-to-day lives. In the episode chosen, a team of Indian boy footballers get the chance to visit England, comparing their experiences here of luxurious sanitation, but regrettably tasteless food, with life in their crowded homes in the Mumbai slums. The programme is My Life, Mumbai Street Strikers. And here to receive the award are CBBC commissioning editor Kes Margery, executive producer Alison Gregory, Rachel Drummond-Hay and Tamsin Summers from Drummer TV.
There we go. Brace yourselves.
you go. Well done. Congratulations. Brilliant. Go on, Kez. You.
So I'm the CBBC Commissioner for the My Life series, and as everybody will know, it's getting increasingly hard to reach children through traditional means, and the My Life series is one that children really do come to because they're real stories about children just like them, no matter where they live in the world. And Drama TV did an amazing job, and the story came to us about 2 weeks before we had to film it, so it was all done really quickly, fast turnaround, and children loved it, and it's, whenever we show it, it's always in our top 10 most viewed bit of content, so
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Right, we move on now to radio and the award for the Best Drama and Comedy Programme of the Year. Final nominations were Drama on 3, Prince's The Birthday Party, Radio 3, Gloomsbury, Radio 4, Home Front, Radio 4, Meet David Sedaris, Radio 4, The Now Show, Radio 4, Tommy's, Radio 4.
Radio 4 then. And the winner, created by the ever-invented Bill Dare, that was ages ago. They've been writing it all very well without him ever since. But anyway, it's been on air for over 20 years, a total of 402 amazing episodes. It is The Now Show. And here to receive the award, producer Matt Strong and Steve Punt, writer and performer.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much indeed.
Beautiful vase
look
for
at
you.
that.
There you
You
go.
see, lovely.
Shelf.
Well, what an honour. Thank you. This is Matt, who is one of the two producers of last year's series, the other being Adnan Ahmed. Matt is here because, frankly, he contributes far more to the show than Hugh Dennis, who slots us in when he's not encouraging you to go to the Curry's PC World sale. Whereas Matt is there every Tuesday morning going through the papers, buying coffee for the writers, sitting with us for 2 hours as we vainly look for any vaguely amusing embers in the dumpster fire of current events in 2018. Then on Wednesday, he spends the whole day arguing with a stand-up who did well in Edinburgh last year, trying to explain that he can't use the F word 14 times on Radio 4, no matter what his agent says. And then spends Thursday listening to a whole team of performers whining about can the music be shorter and could that be a bit louder. And then we all go home, Hugh Dennis usually first, and it's then Matt who spends all day Friday in the edit fielding calls from BBC Compliance, recommending certain jokes be toned down or removed altogether or are now subject to an injunction. Then at 5 o'clock or so, he finally delivers the programme and has a brief 2-hour respite before the tweets start coming in, accusing us of which way we may or may not have been biased this week. So thank you very much indeed. Thanks.
Hi, yes, I'm Matt, the producer, although most of the time I feel like a professional cat herder. But I just want to say thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And thank you for Radio 4 who've been so supportive, about us sort of bringing on more like new, diverse talent, which is really important to us. And yeah, thanks very much to VLV. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right. The next award is for the Best Radio News and Factual Programme. Final nominations were Brexit a Love Story, ? Radio 4, Feedback, Radio 4, In Our Time, Radio 4, James O'Brien Show, LBC, Last Word, Radio 4, Pina's Politics, Radio 5 Live.
And the winner is a live weekly programme created and chaired for 20 years by that cerebral polymath Melvyn Bragg, which explores the history of ideas, each time featuring 3 absolutely top-class academics. You may have heard it this morning, bending your mind with Bergson's views on time, which is like, what? Melvyn's technique has been described as not unlike that of a man throwing a stick for a dog. He chucks his question ahead, and if the chosen academic fails to bring it back, he chides them. It's in our time. Here to receive the award, Simon Tillotson and Victoria Brignall and Lord Bragg himself. There we go, lovely vase for the office. I don't know if you heard it this morning, there was this amazing fit of giggles went on. It was so funny. So what happened there? It was all about time, and you said, well, of course, you could always look at the clock or something, and this woman collapsed in a fit of giggles, and then you got the giggles as well.
Well, I made a stupid remark, and the and the young Don, who was brilliant, made it amusing so that I didn't look as stupid as I had been.
Well, congratulations anyway. Very well deserved.
Well, thank you very much. We're all very... This is Simon Tillotson, the producer, Victoria Brignall, the second producer, and this young lady has been with me on Start the Week and In Our Time since I started doing both of them. This is Ingrid Muir. Just two or three things. We started In Our Time when I got fired from Start the Week, I've been fired twice, both times it's worked out very well. I don't want it to happen again, though, because this is a programme. I've never enjoyed anything as much in my life as doing this programme, partly because we're working with these people and previous people before them. They're marvellous to work with. It's the simplest idea in the world. You get three people who know more than anybody else about the subject under discussion, and you prepare it very thoroughly, and you work it as hard as you can. You ask them questions, and back they come. Then we have an extended bit at the end, the podcast, which I think we were the first BBC to do this podcast. We sent out 10 million in the last quarter. Next to BBC News, it's the biggest BBC broadcast, the biggest weekly broadcast the BBC does. Nobody knows why, but the world seems to be in love with British academics. So that's about it. Half of the podcast audience are under 35, so much for Radio 4 having an ageing audience. Lots of things I want to say, but they mainly add up to two things. One is thank you very much for this association. Thank you very much for the viewers and listeners. The guardians need to be guarded, never more so than now for the BBC, and this outfit has been guarding them for many years, a still strong voice which I hope will never diminish and accrete the sort of attention that it's got today. And secondly, I think one allowed one political comment. I cannot see why the BBC should be an arm of government and collect money for old age pensioners. At the risk of a simplicity which should not be admitted in our time, the BBC licence fee is for the BBC to make programmes. That's it. Thank you very much for the award.
Okay.
Now for Best Radio, Music and Arts Programme. Final nominations were Barry Humphries' Barry's Forgotten Musical Masterpieces, Radio 2, Breakfast, Radio 3, Kermode and Mayo's Film Review, Radio 5 Live, Saturday Review, Radio 4, Soul Music, Radio 4, Words and Music, Radio 3.
And the winner, like In Our Time and The Now Show, has coincidentally just celebrated its 20th anniversary. Its more critical format complements the magazine style of Front Row, or as its presenter Tom Sutcliffe put it after it was rescued from the threatened axe 2 years ago, you can go back to being annoyed by us now. It's Saturday Review. And here to receive the award, producer Oliver Jones, who has a message from Tom Sutcliffe.
Tom apologises for his absence. It's his wife's birthday, and he felt it wasn't the right thing to leave the family meal, I'm afraid. Sorry. Nearly axed a year ago, but we're saved, and we're still going strong. Thank you so much. This really is very, very much appreciated, and do keep listening. That's from Tom. Thank you.
The next award is for individual contributor to radio. Final nominations were Katja Adler, Nicky Campbell, Lise Doucette, Paddy O'Connell, Ratula Shah, Edward Sturton.
And the winner, like Matt Fry, is a true citizen of the world. As the BBC's chief international correspondent, she reports on all the BBC's news channels and is probably the most familiar voice on the BBC World Service. Her career has taken her to many of the world's trouble spots, but particularly to the Arab nations of the Middle East. She's been noted for her dulcet tones, deeply unostentatious manner, and prodigious short-term memory. She is Lise Doucette. Now, unsurprisingly, Lise is out of the country. She's in Sarajevo, so unable to be here. I just would like to add, in addition to the qualities that are listed here, she does have that amazing ability to sort of talk to individuals who are in the kind of thick of those situations and really bring out the kind of the human stories behind these, you know, these huge sort of world events that are going on. And I had the privilege of interviewing her on a Radio 4 program called One to One, where I talked to her about how she felt about her image. Anyway, she has sent a message and embarrassingly asked for me to read it in her voice. I am deeply touched by this award, which has come as a wonderful surprise. Obviously, it's a comedy version of her voice, okay? I hope it is for the original version of Lise Doucette, not Jan Raven's excellent copy in Dead Ringers. I am grateful to many editors and producers who provided space for my voice, including Radio 4's controller, Gwyneth Williams, a radio champion. And then she goes on to say something that I really don't want to do in the comedy voice, because Lise actually says, I should also thank the NHS. When one of my throat valves suddenly stopped working last year, or perhaps went on strike in protest, the NHS's terrific specialists helped bring back my voice. Most of all, a very big thank you to all our listeners. And it's just so lovely, that voice. Okay.
Collect the award.
Oh. Oh, right. Okay, yes. I thought I was just me doing that. I thought it was just me doing the funny message.
Right.
No, okay, cross
It's all
that
right.
bit out.
We can cut it out in the edit.
Yes, yeah, we'll edit it out. So, here to collect her award, I do apologise, is Dennis Nolan, Station Manager, Radio 4. Sorry. Congratulations. Do you want to say anything about
I'd love to, yeah. Thank you very much. First of all, just to say that, yes, with all of you, I have immense admiration for Lise, the work that she does so tirelessly, so courageously, so honestly, so accurately around the world in very difficult circumstances. She is the very best of BBC journalism. I'd also like to say, if I may, a brief word about Gwyneth Williams, because normally she would be here, and I'm representing her today. Gwyneth is in her last week as controller of Radio 4. She has been, I hope you will agree, a remarkable controller of Radio 4. She is, in fact, in Washington today for the Wreath Lectures, which you'll be able to tune into shortly with Jonathan Sumption. A wonderful, a very remarkable series of very provocative lectures about law and politics. I just want to say a thank you to Gwyneth on behalf of all of those of us who work at Radio 4 for being a huge and courageous champion of public service broadcasting and of the very best traditions of the BBC, and also for being a person of enormous charm and kindness. Thank you.
Right. The last of the awards voted for by VLV members is for Best Sports Programme, Radio and Television. It's sponsored by Arqiva, who are the leading UK communications infrastructure company, and the nominees were European Rugby Champions Cup, Channel 4, 2018 Football World Cup, BBC ITV, 2018 Formula One Grand Prix, Channel 4, 2018 French Open Tennis, ITV, Test Match Special, Radio 4, Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, BBC Sport, 2018 Winter Olympics, BBC.
And with this award, the membership have celebrated a true golden oldie of radio. For over 60 years, it has found a home at different times on the third programme, Radio's 3, 4, 5 and 5 Live Sports Extra, alongside a consumption of cakes which long preceded the Great British Bake Off. It has found time to report on England's triumphs and disasters on the cricket field. It is, of course, Test Match Special. And here to receive the award are producer Adam Mountford, commentators Alison Mitchell and Simon Mann, and summariser and ubiquitous sports personality Phil Tufnell.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed to the voice of the listener and viewer for this, and to the sponsor as well of the award. It's a huge honour to even be nominated amongst these amazing programmes, let alone be lucky enough to win. I think, if anything, of the events of the last two nights show, there's nothing quite like live sports coverage. You never really know what's going to happen. There's no script, and yet you get more plot twists than in a box set of Line of Duty. We're hoping that England's cricketers can provide some drama and some dramatic moments in this forthcoming summer. I'm a bit biased, I think, that I reckon that radio commentary has a special power to connect with the audience. And it's rather nice that amongst all those other programmes nominated, we're actually the only radio programme, and we've actually come away and won this award. But most special, this award is about the audience. We had an email last year from a man named Patrick Taylor, who wrote an incredibly moving email about listening to Test Match Special and how it helped his father regain consciousness in hospital, allowing him to say goodbye properly. We're privileged to work on a programme with a rich heritage that continues to evolve but always enjoys a special bond with the only people that really matter, and that's the listeners. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
We end with two special awards selected by the VLV trustees. The first, also sponsored by Archiva, is for innovation. In They Shall Not Grow Old, the trustees have recognised a truly innovative use of archive material, employing not only colorisation and motion control to the century-old film, but also state-of-the-art sound techniques. A reviewer commented that the film suggests new methods of rescuing history from the history books, humanising and dramatising true stories with a modest injection of movie world artifice. The production team, led by the distinguished film director Peter Jackson, are based in Peter's native New Zealand. The programme was a collaboration between them and 14 to 18 Now, the project to commemorate the First World War. The award will be received by 1418 Now's executive producer, Nigel Hines.
We're enormously grateful for this award. Thank you very much, VLV trustees. 1418 Now's role was to commission great artists to respond to the centenary of the First World War. And Peter Jackson is the jewel in our crown. And his passion drove this whole project. And what his passion was about was connecting the history of the First World War with audiences today. So it's so appropriate that VLV has given this award, and he's absolutely delighted to be recognised in this way. Thank you very much indeed.
Finally, we come to the Naomi Sargent Award, which commemorates a distinguished adult educator who believed passionately in lifelong learning. Naomi was Channel 4's first Senior Commissioner of Educational Programmes and one of the founders of the Open University, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. Naomi knew our recipients well and certainly admired the way, over a period of around 40 years, they've produced documentaries which explained and illuminated the background to many world events. These have ranged from the breakthrough Reykjavik meeting between Reagan and Gorbachev, which signalled the end of the Cold War, to the search for elusive peace between Israel and the Arabs. They started their television careers at Granada, where they pioneered new formats of current affairs presentation, including drama documentaries and the hypothetical debates. As independents, they've produced mainly for the BBC as well as for Discovery and PBS. In a year when many of these awards have gone to programmes and individuals dealing with international matters, it is fitting that the trustees' choice for our last award goes to the producers Brian Lapping and Norma Percy, and they're here to receive their awards.
Well, when Brian Lapping hired me, more decades than I'm going to tell you ago, it was for Granada when the ITV companies were a license to print money, but they had to produce a certain amount of serious programs in order to get the license renewed. And Brian had just been given the job of doing something really pompous, a Royal Commission of the Air, looking at what was wrong with Parliament. And he hired me for just 1 year to work on that. And for some reason, Mrs. Thatcher removed that requirement, but we're still doing it very close to half a century ago. And people ask what I do and what Brian does. Well, the main thing is that when Brian has an idea, he 100% believes in it. He knows it's going to be terrific from the minute that he has the idea. And it can be something as ridiculous as getting Gorbachev to present our first series as an independent. So, well, I think that the programs are going to be complete rubbish, and I stay up all night worrying about it. And the other thing about Brian is he can make speeches and I can't. So Brian actually really was a close friend of Naomi's, so I think he should talk about her.
I have an absolute first principle. It is important to be boring. I am now going to bore you about Naomi Sargent. You all think you know about her. You've said a bit about who she is. Well, I can tell you something really important about Naomi. Many years ago, my wife and I were taken by some friends to stay in their house in southern France. That was one summer with our children. And then the next summer, they invited us again. And for about 10 years, they kept on inviting us. And living quite nearby were Naomi and her husband, Andrew. And so we got to know them, and quite friendly with them. And after about 10 years, Anne, my wife, and I decided we'd buy a house of our own. So we found one, very nice farmhouse in the country, and we made an offer, it was accepted, and we got an architect to help us think about how to plan the changes. And then over dinner one evening, we mentioned this to Naomi and Andrew, and Naomi said, "You must ask us to come and see it." So we asked them to come and see it, and we took them around the house and showed them everything and explained what we were going to do to make it absolutely right for us and the kids. And as we were coming out afterwards, Naomi stood in the garden in front of the house and said, "You're wrong. This is just the wrong house. You must withdraw your bid and not buy it." And we said, "But we're going back on the plane tomorrow. We've been planning to buy a house down here. What are we to do?" And Naomi said, "You'd better organise yourselves a plane to come back again and come another time." So we withdrew our offer. And we went home, and then we came back down later, and we bought another house. And the first people who came to visit us in this other house, needless to say, were Andrew and Naomi. And we hadn't got furniture much there yet, so we had a picnic on the lawn. And afterwards, Naomi said to Anne and me, "Well, I was right, wasn't I? Much better house." And they live at Bonnier, just along the way, and just a little way along the Luberon mountain is our village, Menère, and it's absolutely perfect. And so I have to tell you, Naomi
is always right.
Congratulations. Well, that concludes the awards for today. Congratulations to all the winners who were all absolutely amazing. And thank you very much for coming, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm going to hand you back now to Colin. Thank you.